Dating and marriage are completely different things. This was a golden saying from a colleague at work who got married before me. The colleague had lived with their partner before getting married. It was like a trial period before the real commitment. Even with such caution, marriage reveals hidden aspects of your partner. At times, couples get along knowing this. Other times, it leads to a breakdown. My name is Taylor, often mistaken for a man's name, but I'm a 32-year-old woman. Below me, the eldest daughter, are the twins. Jackson and Jordan, both 26. Being twins, they do everything together. I lived at home until I got a job and married. However, Jackson and Jordan moved out during college and lived together. They get along well, but Jackson and Jordan have their own world. But my brother's bond never caused trouble for others. The problem was with my husband and sister-in-law. My husband, Stanley, and his sister, Miss Amelia, were unusually close. When we were dating at work, I thought his concern for his sister was sweet, but after marriage, I realized their relationship was off. Once we got our own place, Amelia started living with us. Apparently, she quit her job and was kicked out of her apartment. I thought she'd leave once she found work, but I was wrong. Amelia stayed without working and even stole from our household funds. After noticing money missing multiple times, Jackson and Jordan suggested setting up a camera. We caught Amelia stealing money from where we kept valuables. When I confronted her, she cried and complained to Stanley.
Stanley, Taylor is mad at me just for taking a little money.
Moved by Amelia's tears, Stanley started blaming me.
He shouted, "Don't attack me now." He's had a hard life.
Stanley and Amelia lost their parents as children. I was frustrated by Stanley's unreasonable argument. Their childhood struggles were no excuse for stealing. Because according to their logic, anyone who had a hard childhood would become a thief. And those who don't condone it are labeled heartless. I was appalled by Stanley's contradictory words. Stanley became furious at me. I was already frustrated that she was stealing our money, indicating she was well enough. I calmly told Stanley, defending Amelia. I bluntly demanded she repay the stolen household funds. Because of Amelia, we're having unnecessary marital disputes. Stanley always sides with Amelia, calling me cold-hearted and heartless. Miss Amelia smirks at this, enjoying the situation. I remembered what my brothers had said. It was when Stanley came to my family home for a family meeting. It was a celebration for my sister, so Jackson and Jordan showed up. Stanley couldn't tell Jackson and Jordan apart the whole time, always mixing them up. During the meal, I stepped away to the bathroom, sitting on the stairs, away from the living room. I overheard Jackson and Jordan talking secretly. They nodded in agreement, having judged Stanley as unsuitable even before I realized his true nature. At the wedding, Jackson and Jordan looked disinterested. Like when Stanley, the groom, introduced his beloved sister Amelia, they didn't react. Easy Amelia, with her pretty face, tried to charm Jackson and Jordan, but both of them looked at her as if she were a pest. My husband Stanley was intimidated by Jackson and Jordan. He probably found their penetrating cold eyes terrifying. Amelia called my brothers creepy twins.
Even if they're handsome, that's a no-go. Silent, expressionless. It's creepy.
Stanley agreed with her. He gets furious when I point out anything about his sister, but doesn't care about my brothers. But Jackson and Jordan, wise as they are, showed no interest in Amelia, simply ignoring her. Even after that, Amelia shamelessly kept stealing our money. I couldn't let my guard down, as she would even steal cash from my wallet. While claiming to be physically and mentally exhausted, yet constantly going to matchmaking parties. She would even steal my precious jewelry without permission. It's like not a sister-in-law living with us, but a thief. I wondered if struggling in childhood really leads someone to become such a despicable person. No matter how much I scolded her, Amelia remained defiant, and Stanley was always on her side from the start. I reached my limit when she stole the brand bag Jackson and Jordan gave me as a wedding gift. I protested vehemently to Stanley, but he dismissed it.
I'll make a big deal out of it, and just buy another one.
It's not about that. Entrepreneurs suffer with passers, so the travel it's a special gift from my brothers.
Despite my pleas, Stanley and Amelia remained indifferent. They were people incapable of considering others' feelings. Giving up on protesting, I left the house. I couldn't stand being in the same space as those terrible siblings. I hadn't even been on my honeymoon yet, but divorce was on my mind. Wanting someone to talk to, I went to the apartment where Jackson and Jordan lived. I didn't want to worry my parents by discussing it at home. Jackson and Jordan were working from home. I didn't know what kind of work they did, but they were independent. I rang their doorbell without notice. Just almost simultaneously, I heard both their voices. That's once they confirmed it was me, they unlocked the door. Jackson and Jordan welcomed me warmly. Even as I apologized for the sudden visit, they didn't mind. But as they prepared tea quietly, they whispered to each other.
I thought she would come soon.
Yeah, good thing we bought snacks.
Apparently, they had anticipated my visit. As their sister, I always found Jackson and Jordan precious but mysterious. Once they settled down a bit, Jackson asked, "Taylor, is jasmine tea?" "Okay." I nodded, and then Jordan spoke. "Want a macaron?" I read in magazine to offer macarons to women. There's a rule where elder Jackson speaks first, followed by younger Jordan. If Jackson is silent, so is Jordan. When they're quiet, they communicate with glances, an understanding I, as their sister, couldn't penetrate. Like though stoic and silent, Jackson and Jordan are kind and dear brothers to me. Afraid to the anger at Amelia, stealing the gift from my cherished brothers resurfaced. As I remained silent, Jackson and Jordan brought tea and macarons. I thanked them and sipped the jasmine tea, then Jackson broke the ice.
Taylor, are you upset about Stanley? That guy's creepy.
Petra and his ugly sister. Biz forgot her name. Wamo. Os dumb.
Jackson and Jordan were harsh towards people they disliked. when I discussed Stanley and Amelia's selfish behavior. Jackson and Jordan exchanged looks and then simultaneously suggested divorce.
But it's not too late.
It's the best option.
Jackson and Jordan suggested I divorce and return to my parents' home. But I had just gotten married and hadn't even been on my honeymoon yet. While I was hesitant about a quick divorce, my mobile phone rang. It was Stanley, hoping he had reflected and scolded Amelia. I was completely wrong. Stanley made an outrageous demand that exceeded all my expectations.
We're canceling our honeymoon. Get my sister, a wedding gift of $30,000.
Amelia was getting married to a businessman she met at a matchmaking party. Stanley proudly explained. Jackson and Jordan, overhearing the call, displayed their disgust simultaneously. I was beyond joking. $30,000 for Amelia's wedding gift wasn't all Stanley's money. Half of it was mine, and more accurately, my parents' money. That money my parents had prepared for my wedding, Stanley was treating it like his own to lavish on Amelia. As I reached my breaking point and was about to yell, Jackson snatched the phone from me.
Surprised. I saw Jordan signal me with the AI-shy finger gesture.
Jackson, in an unusually bright voice, began asking Stanley about the wedding details. He said he wanted to send a gift asking for Amelia's fiancé's information. At least about his sister's marriage. Stanley began talking eloquently. Once they got the fiancé's details, Jackson quickly wrapped up the call and whispered to me, "I have a plan. Pretend to agree to the gift money." Burton exchanged glances with Jackson, nodding in agreement. Empowered by their whispered plans, I responded to Stanley on the phone.
Understood.
For acknowledging the $30,000 gift for Amelia, Stanley seemed pleased with himself.
Finally, was Taylor's being kind to Amelia? If you want to stay my wife, keep it up.
Biting back my anger, I ended the call. The nerve of him to say that. I wanted to scream. However, Jackson and Jordan were laughing merely at Stanley's stupidity.
Staying his wife if you want. What an idiot.
I Taylor, you married a rare kind of fool.
Their words helped me regain composure, and I finished my tea in one gulp. If Jackson and Jordan's plan worked, I could make Stanley and Amelia's life hell. I started working with my brothers, cautiously pretending to celebrate Amelia's marriage with Stanley. Stanley was overjoyed, thinking his sister was finally finding happiness.
I don't care about anyone else as long as Amelia and I are happy.
I nodded along to his insensitive remarks, thinking, your downfall is closer than you think. I inwardly cursed them. Elia was ecstatic about her dress and oblivious to any suspicions. She didn't find it strange that I suddenly became nice to her, or that Jackson and Jordan sent congratulations. Anyone slightly smarter would have noticed something odd. Stanley and Amelia were truly foolish. Outsmarted by the clever Jackson and Jordan, they remained blissfully unaware. Then the wedding day arrived. Stanley was busy preparing, but I hadn't prepared anything. Mixing in the living room, Stanley approached me irritably.
Ace, almost time to go to the venue. Okay, ready.
I laughed through my nose at his haste.
Don't order me around. Besides, there's no need to prepare.
As I smiled mischievously, Stanley furrowed his brow. Then the awaited call came. Stanley received a call from Amelia. Panicking, he answered, only to hear her sobbing. The plan had worked perfectly.
The venue's canceled.
Amelia was crying about being jilted. Seeing his ashen face, I cheerfully said, "Told you, there was no need." I grabbed my bag in the living room and thrust the divorce papers at Stanley.
As we're getting divorced too. Have fun with your pitiful sister.
As I started to leave, Stanley, trembling with anger, blurted out,
I'll set Amelia up.
laughing loudly. I replied, "What? That's ridiculous. Maybe Amelia's the problem." I left, saying I would claim compensation for the divorce, half of the $30,000, and reimbursement for the stolen items.
Billy and I are the ones who are pitiful. Don't you have any sympathy?
I became fed up with Stanley insisting they were pitiful even at this point. So I gave them the pity they wished for. "Yeah, you're pitifully stupid." I left Stanley and the new house behind. Returning to my parents' home, I had already explained the situation, so there were no issues. I now commute from home. On a day off, Exon and Jordan invited me to their apartment. Waiting there was a serious-looking man. He was the man who almost married Amelia. His name is Noah, an elite working for a major trading company and a junior of Jackson and Jordan from their college days. Jackson and Jordan were members of the chess club back then, and Noah was a junior they got along with. The brothers were usually inseparable, but they had kept in touch with Noah. They continued to stay in touch frequently even after graduating. Rewinding to a few days before I visited their apartment about the brand bag. Exon and Jordan had a rare drinking session with Noah. Noah shared that he was being pressured to marry a woman he met at a matchmaking party. Seeing her photo and the name on his phone, they recognized Amelia. Jackson and Jordan knew about Amelia's marriage plans by chance. In fact, they had already started planning from that point. Exon and Jordan explained to Noah about Amelia and Stanley's arrogant behavior. Noah was shocked and decided never to marry her. However, Jackson and Jordan asked him for a favor.
Pretend to accept the marriage proposal.
We'll cover the cancellation fee for the venue and the compensation for breaking off the engagement.
As sexted by Stanley and Amelia's actions, they sought Noah's cooperation. Initially hesitant, Noah agreed to help after learning about my situation. Then, believing in the false marriage, Stanley excitedly contacted me. Exon had taken my mobile phone to talk to Stanley for confirmation. Noah, watching Amelia's overjoyed reaction, felt no guilt.
She laughed about taking $30,000 from her sister-in-law, as she had no remorse. She's easy to deceive.
I was astounded. Exon and Jordan had already planned to punish Stanley and Amelia. First time, it was a coincidence that Noah was involved, but knowing them, they might have devised another plan without Noah. I'm sorry for involving you in this mess. I apologized to Noah. Noah, with a smile, dismissed it.
Don't worry. It's a request from the great Mr. Twins.
Noah, feeling vindicated in punishing Amelia, was smiling. No more twists. Jackson and Jordan compensated Noah for the expenses he incurred. I offered to pay damages, but they politely refused. I then offered Noah free movie tickets I received from a colleague.
Would you like to join me for the movie? Noah asked.
Surprised by his sudden offer. Jackson and Jordan encouraged me. Let's go on to the movies. Taylor, he's a good guy. Encouraged by my brothers, I agreed to go to the movies with him. Later, Noah and I got remarried. He's younger than my brothers, only 25, but a serious and sincere man. When I asked if he was okay with marrying someone older, he confidently replied,
I've actually admired Taylor for a while. Mr. Twins always bragged about you.
He heard about me from Jackson and Jordan during his college days. That the stoic and blunt twins boasted about their sister, piquing his interest. He had secretly fallen for me after seeing my picture. First, when he learned about my marriage to Stanley, he was shocked.
When I divorced, he said yes.
Now, I live peacefully with my new husband. Noah's family is reasonable and doesn't intrude on our married life. After our divorce, Stanley's excessive indulgence towards Amelia became known at work. He was criticized for acknowledging Amelia's theft of my money and belongings. As a result, he felt uncomfortable at work and left. He now lives with Amelia. After a while, a colleague informed me that Stanley was struggling with unemployment. He got a new job, but Amelia was caught shoplifting, leading to police involvement. Instead of sincerely compensating and apologizing, Stanley continued to defend Amelia. This behavior got him fired from his new job. First, he lost his temper and assaulted his boss, leading to another police incident. Hearing this outcome, I was astounded. I understand valuing family, but when it crosses the line of common sense and burdens others, it's unacceptable. Stanley and Amelia believe they are unfortunate because people are cold to them. When he mentioned this during a visit from Jackson and Jordan, they exchanged looks. Jackson then slowly spoke.
That despicable pair are just intoxicated with their self-pity.
That's why they think whatever they do is justified.
People who are happy at the expense of others' unhappiness are commonly called the worst. They deserve each other, I thought, changing the subject. Noah, sitting next to me, asked,
The twins get along well, but do they ever fight?
I was always curious about that. I couldn't recall ever seeing Jackson and Jordan in a sibling fight. When Noah asked them, they exchanged looks, and Jackson responded first.
Isaiah, as we do, in silence.
When Jackson speaks, it's the end of the fight.
I was amazed by this revelation. There were times since childhood when Jackson and Jordan would sit in silence, facing each other. I thought they were communicating, but they were actually fighting. Their silent agreement was resolved when Jackson spoke. Apparently, their fights were over trivial things like picture books or toys. Even as their sister, the twins remained a mystery to me. Noah admired Jackson and Jordan, but was curious about their student days. Seizing the moment, I decided to ask, "What do you guys do for a living?" I've always been curious. Noah looked surprised by my question. He then revealed their profession. They are white hat hackers defending against cyber attacks. My husband explained in detail, but it was too complex for me to grasp. However, it explained how they could afford a luxurious apartment at 26. My husband praised them, saying, "That's really cool." I reflected on my brothers. Jackson and Jordan, always together as twins, but also caring towards family and others. Even with their stoic expressions, they're kind-hearted. Even if they had a difficult upbringing, they wouldn't end up like Stanley and Amelia. Silent fights and resolutions show they're aware of others around them. At least, they don't use a troubled past to justify selfish actions. Others' misfortunes are relatively inconsequential, but believing that one's unfortunate circumstances warrant kindness from others is a delusion. As long as one is deluded, true happiness is unattainable. As I pondered in silence, Jackson and Jordan offered something. It was a large assortment of macarons. I appreciated it, but realized I, as their sister, needed to correct their belief that macarons are the go-to treat for women.